Almost every order placed on a major exchange today speaks one specific language, not Python, not JavaScript, not any of the programming languages you might have heard of. It's a messaging format invented in 1992 by two people at Fidelity and Salomon Brothers who were tired of every firm building custom, incompatible connections to every counterparty they wanted to trade with. It's called FIX, and it is still the backbone of institutional trading infrastructure around the entire world. Today we're going to decode it. Before we get into what FIX actually looks like, let's understand why it exists, because the problem it solved was genuinely painful. Cast your mind back to the early 1990s. Financial markets were becoming increasingly electronic, and more firms wanted to connect to each other digitally to exchange orders and trade confirmations. The problem was that every firm had built their own proprietary system for doing this. Every connection between two firms was a custom-built, one-off integration. Different message formats, different fields, different rules. If a broker wanted to connect to 5 different exchanges or 5 different institutional clients, they had to build 5 completely different technical integrations from scratch. It was expensive, slow, and fragile. FIX, Financial Information Exchange, was created to solve exactly that problem. The idea was simple and powerful. Agree on one standardized message format that everyone uses, so that any firm that builds to the FIX standard can connect to any other firm that also builds to the FIX standard without needing a custom integration every time. One standard universally adopted so the plumbing becomes interchangeable. It worked. Within a decade, FIX had been adopted by the majority of the institutional trading world. Today it's maintained by a non-profit standards organization called FIX Trading Community, and it's still actively updated. It is not legacy software limping along. It is foundational infrastructure running right now underneath the surface of most of the world's significant financial markets. Now let's actually look at what a FIX message looks like, because once you see it, it becomes much less mysterious. FIX messages are built from tag value pairs. A tag is a number that represents a specific field, and the value is the data in that field. That's the entire structure. Tags and values, separated by an equals sign, chained together with a delimiter between each pair. Let me translate a simplified new order message in plain English as we go through it. Tag 35 equals D. Tag 35 is the message type field. D means this is a new order, a request to place a trade. Right away, the message has declared what it is. Tag 49 equals broker 1. Tag 49 is the sender, who sent this message. In this case, a broker identified as broker 1. Tag 56 equals exchange 1. Tag 56 is the target, who this message is being sent to, the exchange. Tag 55 equals AAPL. Tag 55 is the symbol, Apple. Tag 54 equals 1. Tag 54 is the side, 1 means buy. Tag 38 equals 100. Tag 38 is the order quantity, 100 shares. Tag 44 equals 150.25. Tag 44 is the price, $150.25. That's it. That entire buy order, who sent it, who it's going to, what stock, which direction, how many shares, at what price, is encoded in a compact string of tag value pairs that a machine can parse in microseconds and that a human can learn to read with a simple reference chart. Now, why does a standardized message format matter so much? Let's make it concrete. Imagine you're a broker and you want to offer your clients access to 10 different exchanges, domestic and international. Without a standard like FIX, your engineering team has to build a custom integration for each exchange. 10 exchanges means 10 completely different technical projects, 10 different maintenance burdens, 10 different things that can break in different ways when an exchange updates their systems. With FIX, you build one integration to the FIX standard. Every exchange that also speaks FIX can now connect to you using essentially the same playbook. Adding an 11th exchange becomes a configuration exercise, not a construction project. The interoperability that FIX creates is genuinely enormous. It's one of the main reasons that global financial markets are as connected as they are today. The same logic applies in reverse for institutions. A large asset manager that wants to route orders to multiple brokers builds one FIX-capable order management system and connects it to every broker that speaks FIX, which is essentially all of them. One system, universal connectivity. This is the quiet infrastructure that makes a globally connected financial market function at scale. Nobody talks about it because it works, and it works because everyone agreed to speak the same language 30 years ago and has been disciplined about maintaining that agreement ever since. Here's where FIX sits relative to the things we've already covered in this series, because it's important to understand how the layers connect. In Day 6, we talked about broker APIs, the doorway that lets external software talk to a broker's systems. In Day 7, we talked about REST and WebSocket, the communication styles that determine how data flows. FIX sits underneath both of those, at the institutional level. When a retail broker offers you a nice clean API with simple endpoints and readable JSON responses, that API is often a simplified, user-friendly wrapper that the broker has built on top of their underlying FIX-based exchange connectivity. The FIX messages are being generated and processed deep in their infrastructure. You're just never seeing them directly because the API layer translates everything into something more accessible. Think of it like an ambassador who speaks a foreign language fluently on your behalf. You communicate in plain English with the ambassador. The ambassador translates that into the precise diplomatic language required for the conversation happening at the institutional level. FIX is the diplomatic language. The retail API is the ambassador. This is why understanding FIX matters even if you'll never write a single FIX message yourself. It helps you understand what's actually happening several layers below the surface of every trade you've ever placed. The clean confirmation on your app represents a chain of events that somewhere in the middle almost certainly involved a FIX message being generated, transmitted, passed, and responded to in milliseconds. One detail that I find genuinely interesting about FIX, and that I think says something real about how financial infrastructure actually works. FIX is maintained by a non-profit called FIX Trading Community, whose members include the major exchanges, banks, brokers, and technology vendors that use the standard. They publish new versions, manage backward compatibility, and govern the evolution of the standard collectively. No single company owns it or controls it. This means FIX has something rare in the technology world: genuine, broad, multi-decade institutional buy-in. Every major player has a stake in its stability and evolution. Switching away from it would require convincing the entire industry to simultaneously agree on and migrate to something new, which is exactly why it hasn't happened and why it's unlikely to happen anytime soon, despite being over 30 years old. The lesson here is that in financial infrastructure, good enough and universally adopted beats technically superior and fragmented every single time. FIX is not the most elegant message format ever designed, but it is the one that everyone agreed to use, and that agreement turned out to be worth more than any technical improvement a replacement might offer. Let's recap. FIX, Financial Information Exchange, is the standardized messaging protocol that lets brokers, exchanges, and institutions exchange trade-related information in a universally understood format. It's built from simple tag value pairs that encode everything about an order: what it is, who sent it, what stock, which direction, how many shares at what price. It exists because a standard that everyone uses is worth more than 100 custom integrations. It's over 30 years old, still actively maintained, and still running the majority of institutional trading infrastructure on the planet right now. Next time, we follow the data from the other direction. How does a market price update travel from the exchange's matching engine all the way to the screen in your hand? 4 companies, 1 journey, and a lot more going on than most people realize. Subscribe so you don't miss it.